All right, everyone, as you're coming in, just make sure that you change your name on your screen so that we know who you are. If you can fit in your organization name, that would be wonderful. We have 101 people registered, so we're going to give them a moment to get admitted and logged in.
Roy is still having trouble.
Okay. All right. Oh, we're halfway there. Okay, so for those that just came in, go ahead and change your name in the chat and put your organization if you can. We want to stay on time, so we get you out on time. But this is starting to be what it feels like when a big disaster just happens or it's a looming disaster, and that we're trying to get ourselves all connected so that when we get good information coming in, we're able to get together and fill in the gaps and solve the issues together. Okay, so you can run the captioning services in Zoom if you just go to the bottom of the screen and click on the captioning. Everyone will stay on mute. You automatically go on mute when you come into our meetings, just because we have a lot of people. And so you just stay on mute unless you're going to talk. And then when we go to breakout rooms, you will find that same thing happens. When you come back to the main room, you'll be muted again. So it should keep the meeting running smoothly and pretty quietly. You can type questions or comments in the chat, but there is going to be a lot of opportunity in the breakout rooms to capture all of your good questions and feedback. So you might want to wait until after that. And we will do a survey at the end, an evaluation of the exercise. So make sure that you stay on and fill that out, because we need that feedback as we're going forward. So CADRE is the VOAD for Santa Clara County. I'm Marcia Hovey. I'm the director, and I will be the controller of the exercise today. We have a number of our team, a lot of members of our team on the call today. And if I try to remember you, I will mess up. But let me see: Jennifer Ponce, Luna Mohammed, Francie Collins, Sherry Burns, Roy Shackle, Paul Marshall, Cindy Stewart, Savannah Gwynn. That's all that's on my screen right now. Who did I forget? Oh, good.
Me.
Which me was, Franny and Franny Edwards and Dan Goodrich from all the way from Las Vegas. Woo. And
Liz Dietz, you forgot
anyone,
Liz.
oh, and Liz
Bradford
Dietz
is also Antonia Bradford.
Oh, Antonia. Okay, Antonia, our volunteer engagement coordinators here. So these calls, when they're real, it is all hands on deck. So you want everybody to be here, and that's part of the reason we wanted to try to break Zoom today with our 101 people that registered. Seems to be working pretty well right now, so that's good. During a real event, I'm guessing we'd probably be closer to 400, because everyone wants to hear information firsthand and not have to wait for somebody to send them notes. So, all right, let's see. The purpose of the VOAD is to bring people together. So we're bringing our community support networks, who are people that have resources, and our voluntary organizations active in disaster, who have a mission to serve after disaster, so that we're all at the table when something happens, and we can all put our collective brains together to solve the problems. So our focus is communication, coordination, cooperation, and collaboration. This is what the meeting is going to look like today. And this actually, the agenda would be a little different just because there'd be more report outs, but this is what a typical meeting is, about an hour to an hour and a half long. And it starts with the briefing. The exercise will start at 10:15 officially, and then we'll end it at 10:50. That'll be the breakout room, and we'll come back into this room and report out for about 15 minutes. And then the hot wash, which is part of exercise lingo, is when we just talk quickly about what went well and what didn't while it's still really fresh in your mind. And then the team's going to stay on after so that we can do a little bit of a debrief as well. We're going to go through the objectives, your instructions as participants. We'll give status reports, the VOAD report, and then breakouts and the report outs and the hot wash. This is just a listing of what our objectives are today. So the first objective is that everyone was able to locate the CADRE website, locate the meeting announcement section or the announcement section of the website, which is the lower right-hand corner, and capture the code that we put in this morning at about 9 a.m. Just so, because normally it would just be the registration to the actual disaster Zoom. But since we gave you that in advance, we wanted to just make sure that everybody knew where to look to find those meeting links. That we can all make it to the breakout rooms and we can work there collaboratively, that we can actually activate the poll at the end and make sure that everybody can give us that information. You'll be identifying some actions in your community support network that are based on, as a whole, collectively, the interests of your support network, and then share that information. And we'll also be giving you some information that we hope that you can capture and use for the future. This is not a test of any of you. Our drills are never a test. We're testing Zoom, but that would be boring. So we're going to also do a little brainstorming about, well, what if this was a real disaster? You're not going to get a lot of details. The internet is working for all participants, which it may not be when a disaster happens, and we're working on backup plans for that. You're only talking to people that are in this meeting. Don't call anyone and ask them anything about the drill, because we don't want anyone to freak out and think that they don't know about something that has happened many times in the past in other parts of the country. And so we just don't want anybody panicked here. And this is a flood scenario. And so all of the reservoirs and dams are full in the artificialities of this exercise. So don't talk to anybody on the outside. If you have a real emergency and you need assistance, please just come off mute and say, I have an emergency. We will stop the exercise to see if there's anything that we can do to help you. And once that's stable, we will continue with the exercise if appropriate. Again, stay muted. In the breakout rooms, everyone will be excited. Try to let everyone have a chance to speak, so that we, just so that everybody's voices are heard. Okay, so here's your scenario. Actually, I'm going to back up one because I want to do a little bit more prefacing. So this exercise is our ability to come together and use these communication tools to share information and collaborate. Individuals and organizations are not being graded. We hope that things go wrong because we want to be able to fix them before we need them in real life. For the same reason, we hope that you see areas for improvement and make sure that you let us know so that we can all improve. The scenario will not provide you detailed information. In real life, all details are rarely available early in an incident. You may experience anger, confusion, and frustration as you process the little information that you have and try to figure out what to do. This is what a real disaster feels like. You don't have all of the information, and you'll experience it every time. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others. None of us feel like feeling out of control, but that's how disasters make us feel early on once we get into a rhythm, actually it works like a well-oiled machine. As we work together, we will find more details and come up with actions to take. Working through disasters takes a village. That's why we've invited the whole community to the table. Your combined lived experiences will help us solve problems and mobilize resources more quickly. We will need to help each other to ensure that the community is well served and feels supported. All right, so now the scenario. So the county has experienced heavy rain for 6 days, with some flooding occurring in neighborhoods and businesses. Other creeks are filling quickly. Some shelters have been opened for people living along Coyote Creek, Yagas Creek, Santa Moss Creek, and Stevens Creek. Requests are coming in for interpreters, dry clothing, blankets, and special diets. The Santa Clara County Office of Emergency Management held an operational area coordination call early this morning, and the CADRE team participated in that call and sent out an announcement that we would also be convening the nonprofits and community support networks. So we're going to now have so now that's where we are. We've convened, we're here, we're going to have a few report outs. So I'm going to start with our simulated Santa Clara County representative, Cindy Stewart.
My name is Cindy Stewart. I am an emergency operations manager with the county. Our EOC has been activated. We're monitoring the impact to the cities and collecting damage assessments. The National Weather Service says that the storm is sitting over Santa Clara County and the heavy rain will continue for the next 5 days. More flooding is expected and we are monitoring the creeks. We have a shelter open in San Martin that is supported by Morgan Hill, Gilroy, and the unincorporated areas. Highway 101 is closed in Gilroy and into San Benito County. We will have to close other areas as the rain continues. We are still gathering information about other closures. Central Expressway between Lawrence and we're not sure. There seems to be some reports that there's some flooding going on there as well. End of my report.
Thank you very much. And next will be the city of San Jose. Kendra Yarn.
Hi there, I'm Kendra. This is a drill. Our EOC is activated and we're tracking creek rise. We have 2 shelters open, one at Camden Community Center and the other is at Seven Trees Community Center. We have about 100 people and 35 animals. Just a reminder, please call 911 if you see creek flooding. And we're beginning to experience flooding in neighborhoods due to storm drains filling up. End of report.
Thank you, San Jose. And Red Cross, Ginny Ortiz.
All right. So in addition to staffing the 2 San Jose shelters, we are aware that several cities are setting up evacuation shelters in anticipation of additional flooding, including Palo Alto, Sunnyvale, and Milpitas. We are requesting additional resources from outside the area to staff additional shelters and provide staff for these cities. End of report.
Thank you. And then lastly, the Water District. Is Cindy Martinez here?
Yes. Good morning, Cindy Martinez, Valley Water Office of Emergency Services. This is a drill. I'm reporting that the EOC is activated. We are monitoring the creeks and maintaining close communication with the cities. We encourage everyone to register with Alert SCC and any local city or town notifications systems to be notified if evacuations are necessary. Our reservoirs are full, but they are not spilling. With the continued rain, spilling may occur and we will notify cities if that happens. We encourage you to go to valleywater.org and click on flood and safety and get flood ready for information on where to get sandbags and how to create a proper barrier. Links are in the chat. You can also click on the surface water data portal to see live creek levels, reservoir levels, rainfall totals, and webcams of our creeks. Be familiar with your local creek information. You can also report creek blockages and see a list of city phone numbers to report local street flooding on our page. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so now we're going to attempt to go into breakout rooms so that each of the support networks can focus more on their issues related to possible flooding and disruption of services. So in order to do that, Cindy is going to make the breakout rooms active. What you will do is go probably into the more at the bottom of your screen, or you may get a pop-up that says join a breakout room. Different computers do that differently. And so if anybody is having trouble, I will stay in this main room and I can help you navigate, but go ahead and click on the breakout room. And then we have multiple support networks, and I'm going to show you the list of them on the next slide. Make sure that we will bring you back from the rooms, but if you need to leave the room, click leave room. You'll either have this leave sign or it'll say leave breakout room. Do not click leave meeting or you'll have to log back into the meeting. And I wish it was more clear than that, but that's what Zoom has given us. So just be real careful before you click leave. Oops. Oh, and just a reminder now, you should all have gotten the code word that we put up at 9 o'clock this morning. It's not in this picture. So, but if you
breakout, we're going to ask during the
yes,
breakout.
yeah, so we'll ask during the breakout what the code word is. If you go to the live CADRE website, which is cadresv.org, and go to the announcement section, you'll see the wet weather drill, and you'll see the code word when you click on it. The reason that we're having you do that is that this is where we would post the registration link if we announced a coordination call. So we wanted to make sure that everybody knew where that was, because our website has a lot of information. So you always just need to go to the lower right corner. All right, so this is the breakout rooms because some of the support networks didn't have a lot of participants. We did some groupings. In a real event, this could happen, but ideally each one would be broken out into the 20 different rooms. So you can see on the screen, and I could see on my screen if I didn't have a bunch of faces. And
I can give them to everyone, Marcia. Breakout room 1
okay.
is AFN, youth, senior, and veterans. Breakout room 2 is animals, business and neighborhood, donations, food, mass care, unhoused, volunteers, and everything. No, not everything else, but a lot of things. Breakout room 3 is faith, mental and behavioral health, and community health. Breakout room 4 is advocacy and equity, climate resilience, employment, and immigrants. Breakout room 5 is communications and transportation. So however you registered, whatever CSN community support network that you registered as, go to that breakout room.
And if you decide that you want to change rooms, you can just come back to the main room, or you may even have the option to just select a different breakout room. But only if you think that you made a mistake and that you're not in the right place. All right.
Have questions about getting into the breakout room?
I see something in
Yes,
the
I have a
chat.
question. I'm not clear as to how to get into the breakout room because
Go down in the bar across the bottom of your screen.
yes.
There should either be a symbol that says breakout rooms and it looks like a window, or a little circle with 3 dots that says more.
Oh,
It's also
okay.
saying, please wait to be assigned, I think.
I'm sorry, say that again. I can't see that on my.
Yeah, that's not showing up, but at the top, there's a little bar that says the host has opened breakout rooms. Please wait to be assigned.
Right.
Marcia, what do I do if I do both multiple things?
You have to be in one, and that's the thing, is that you would want to bring someone. couple things. One is you would want to have more than one person here if your organization supports more things.
Thank
But you
God we
also, in each disaster, not everything will be, there won't be an issue with everything. So we can work on that. We're recording all of the breakout rooms. There will be notes from all the breakout rooms, and that would be in a real event too, so that you would be able to catch up on what was said in the other rooms if it was just you. Sorry, I know it's always a disruption when the rooms close, but we have this is a drill. We will as we go in an actual event, we can certainly stay longer if we need to, or shorter, depends on where we are in the drill or in the actual event, and how soon we would be coming back again. How are we all back? Let's see. Okay, it looks like we're all back. So we're going to do the quick report outs by room. But let me get rid of all of your faces. I just wanted to make sure for those of you that thought maybe we were not telling the truth about this CADRE website thing. Right now on the website at cadresv.org, if you go to the lower right corner, it says announcements and wet weather drill. And if you click on wet weather drill, there's a code word. Now, in a real disaster, it would say coordination call, and there would be a link to register for the coordination call. We just wanted to make sure everybody knew where to find that, because it will always be posted right there. Okay. And just so we know, I was sitting here quietly in my home room, and everybody made it to a breakout room, which is great. We had 10 people in room 1, 22 in room 2, 11 in room 3, 8 in room 4, and 17 in room 5. So depending on who shows up and on the day of, again, we may just start out with the 20 breakout rooms and then merge them if there aren't a lot of people there. But it also might mean that we don't have enough facilitators, which is the reality, is that when a real disaster happens, we put you in your breakout room and one of you needs to facilitate the discussion because we don't have 20 staff. Okay, so let's do the report out just from here. Let's start with room 1 and just give us a couple of takeaways.
Yeah, this is Sherry, and if any of my colleagues would like to add anything, please feel free to jump in. We could have probably talked for at least another 15-20 minutes, Marcia, just to let you know. A lot of stuff came up. Most everyone was okay personally with where they're living. I think I was the only one that pointed out that I live fairly close to a creek and it has flooded in the past, and so I might need to get bags from Valley Water District, and hopefully there would be a place close by that I could get to without any problem. As far as our agencies, we, had main concerns about communication, much like we would with regards to taking care of our constituents or clients, is that are the communication systems up and running? Is 311, for example, taking calls about emergency kinds of AFN needs versus calling 911, because we want to make sure that that's for really significant urgent medical issues and not tie up 911. The other thing is power. Many of we all operate on power, whether we're talking about our own personal lives. Do we have backup power systems for our particular needs in our own homes, but also at work, and making sure that we have redundancy in other operations, again, mainly for communication purposes, but also are there power outages because of the storm? Maybe fallen trees, that kind of thing that have created problems with people being cut off and not being able to leave. Our big concern also of who was not at the table and what was missing from the scenario was transportation. And that there was no information about how people who could not evacuate on their own were going to be able to evacuate if they needed to get to a shelter, if their road was flooded over, or they had to use a freeway that was flooded. It was VTA activated and paratransit services in emergency capacity mode as well. Main takeaways.
Thank you. And transportation was in another room, and it is something that could happen in a real coordination call, is that if you had a transportation question that was VTA, and VTA could be in the call, should be in the call. They just weren't able to come today, but you could pop over into that room and ask the question. It just might get a little confusing. So I like the idea of having the questions come back to the main room so that everybody hears the answers. Yeah, so thank you for that. And so we're going to go next to the room 2. And if it's something that Sherry or another group already said, just you can verify that was an issue for you too, but try to find something different. Group 2.
Hey, Luna here. So we had a really great discussion. We talked about some of the impacts initially, and then it almost felt like a real call with how the needs were. Someone's like, hey, I can do this, hey, I can do that. So we started with talking about the shelters in San Jose, how there would be a need for more volunteers, there would be need for people working in those shelters who are not just trained, but also know how to de-escalate. Ideally, having people who have worked with the unhoused in the past would be very helpful as well. We talked about how there will be, because people are coming in with wet clothes, there's likely going to be a need for clothes, definitely a need for food. We talked about some of the sensitivities with food, not just like halal food, but we have our unhoused population may be coming in, or our senior population, or any population may be coming in with dietary needs for diabetes that we should be thinking about and be sensitive to. Making sure we had an animal shelter next to those shelters is another big one that was discussed. Then we had a few organizations like CORE, like West Valley Community Services, Martha's Kitchen, who kind of hopped in and said, hey, I can do this. CORE was like, hey, we got staff that can help who are trained with Red Cross shelters. West Valley Community Services said, hey, we have diapers, we have pet food, we can't cook, but we have shelf-ready food that can help. We have volunteers, we have transportation. Martha's Kitchen's like, hey, we can do the cooking though. We do have the capacity for cooking. We talked a little about communication and starting together. It was like, hey, we got these village hubs who can help with some of that mutual aid and local coordination. And we talked about the bigger coordination for the county, like utilizing Recover's platform for more of a county-wide, what can't we get at the local level? I'm just briefing through my notes real quick if I missed anything. We talked about those connections, and that's kind of where we ended with. We really do need to find ways to make sure those connections are strong, that we have those ideas of where the resources might be pre-disaster, and when the disaster hits, it can be very difficult, but really building on that coordination and growing it. And so that was kind of the takeaway of our discussion.
Thank you. All right, group 3, Jennifer.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So group 3 was made up from faith-based organizations, mental behavioral health, and community health organizations. We had some extra people show up, which we were delighted about. And we had representation, if you can all wrap your minds around this, from someone from UC Berkeley to East Palo Alto to Los Altos Hills, down to Salinas. So that really is the main Bay Area. And the challenges in flooding were very different from being up on a hill in an isolated area to down in a very large community. And our main focus centered around this opportunity today is a blue sky opportunity. We were really fortunate, Marcia, thank you for setting this up, to be able to meet during a time over 100 participants when there is not something going on, and the opportunity to take time in our little breakout group to get to know each other, to build our network and our connections. I'm sure you all know what is the most important thing to all of us. It's not necessarily subject matter experts, which each and every one of you on this today are, but the relationships that we're forming today. We now know 10, 22, 11, 8, 17 more people that we have connections with. We did remind everybody that our safety, we want to make sure that we're okay. Were we okay before we were focusing on those organizations that we represent today? Someone so eloquently reminded us that faith-based organizations and fire departments are those trusted areas that people tend to go to when bad things happen. And there was a little bit of nerves, like, well, maybe we're not ready. We don't know how to be ready. And we reminded each other that even having a pot of coffee on is something. It's a start. We had a fantastic group. Just like Sherry and Luna, I wished we would have had another 30 minutes to carry on our conversations. So on behalf of our room 3, we want to thank you for this opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you. And group 4, Cindy.
So group 4 was the Advocacy and Equity, Climate Resilience, Employment, and Immigrants group. And we had a lot of discussion around the actual Coyote Creek flooding incident that happened a few years ago. Some of us have experience from that. And so I'm not going to repeat a lot of the things that other groups have already said about transportation and communication and those kind of things. I want to focus more specifically on some of the immigrant issues. For example, in the shelters, some immigrants are uncomfortable showering in an open area. So, the sensitivity to that, just sensitivity to immigrants in general, maybe they're not going to be forthcoming with their needs. And so, just being sensitive to that. Security in a shelter is going to be an issue. Translation is going to be an issue. We talked a little bit about using the phone apps, the translation phone apps, and some people said, there are people who just don't know how to get those apps on their phone or can't do it, or, and it's always better to have a live person that can translate. And CADRE has a huge pool of people who speak many different languages. We could put out to people, we need this language translated at this shelter or at this location, that sort of thing. So those are things that we talked a little bit about. And then, we always have to talk about the ICE protocol for a shelter situation, and maybe some kind of a statement from local government. There were people that said, I'm not going to tell my people to leave their home if they're going to a shelter where they won't be safe. So those are some of the issues that we had over and above what others had. Again, just to echo what Jen said, we could probably have talked for another half an hour on some of these issues. It was a great conversation, and we are grateful that we had an opportunity to just get together and have some chat.
Some of us older women don't like to be naked even in a shower with a whole bunch of people around. And I've been here since my 79 years, so I don't like it either.
It isn't just the immigrants, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that too. It's like, yeah, we probably need to put some little barriers up. But anyway, I promised I wasn't going to say any comments until after everyone got to talk.
Hold on a second. Hold on just a second, Marsha, because I want to say something. As it pertains to the the showers and being in public and all that stuff. When I worked for the county, I got a grant that gave where we actually hired someone to build them for us. They're PVC screens that are all in little boxes that are only about 5 inches square and 8 feet long. And you can take this PVC frame, stand it up, and it's got a plastic cloth that goes over it. We actually demonstrated them at CISA one year. Anyway, there are somewhere around 2,000 of those in a warehouse that the county has management of. So if we needed privacy screens, I had them specifically built for this issue, and the county owns them. We can ask for them anytime.
If they haven't lost them since then.
Let's add that to our resource list. That's great. And our last group today is communication and transportation with Franny.
Oh, I thought they
There you go.
okay. Hi. So we took an entirely different approach than what Marcia asked us to do, and we went narrow and deep, I guess is the way I would put it. So we started by having each person introduce himself or herself and what their organization contributes. And it was a tremendous learning experience for all of us, 17 people in the room, plus Dan and me. The biggest takeaway from our experience together is that there's a need for better coordination among the members of the communications and transportation organizations. And they requested two things from CADRE. One is to help them create a contact system. And so there was a concern that you might not want to give your personal phone number out because somehow the list might get loose, but that there should be some maybe organization to organization contact capability. And one of the DARTs has a 24-hour organizational contact number that could be more publicly distributed if needed. And so that's a challenge or a project that they would like to work on together. And that leads to the second request, which is to have an opportunity for them to meet face to face, even if virtually, again, because the time we had was very short. And by the time we did the introductions, we only got to discuss one question. But I think the introductions were a tremendous learning experience for all of us. And the one question we did discuss was, is there anything you want to make sure the other CSNs know about you? And we got some great notes, but the main thing is to be sure the other CSNs know that the communication capabilities exist and how they might tap into them. We have especially communications connected to DART, connected to the CERT programs, and through other organizational groups that have ham radio, GMRS radio, family radio, as well as ham.
There was also input from one participant who has a bicycle program, and that's something that surfaces every couple of years in emergency management, and it really hasn't been fully exploited. You're talking about a piece of equipment that does not require fuel, that does not require electricity, that is far more capable of clearing debris fields than probably any other transportation system we've got. And it's just something that needs to be, I think, looked at, discussed, as far as, maybe even putting together a rudimentary training program, as far as, what equipment they should have, as far as, in addition, maybe a light first aid kit, tire repair, that kind of thing. But the person that was there gave him my contact information. And all I can say is that this is also near and dear to Karen Philbrick's heart, back over with the Manette Transportation Institute. She is a big bicycle advocate, and just something to think about.
Oh, that's great. And so all of these community support networks, which with the exception of Food and Unhoused, they've only met one time. We do a quarterly get together on Zoom to talk about issues, and to make sure that people know each other. And so that the next series will start popping up now on our events page so that you can join. If you have not joined a network yet, I can get you that link. We have a number of people on this call as well that are helping with us in order to spread ourselves as as broadly as possible to do support. So we do have now a CADRE volunteer network. Anyone can join it. I'm going to put the link in the chat it's just an interest if you're interested in being part of that, because the more people that we have focused within each network, the more that we can get done. But this is exactly what we will be doing. We will do a little bit more of a debrief in our next support network meetings, and then we will address as many of the issues to get answers as we can for everything that's brought up today as we review the notes. And then the things that there's no answer for, that's what we'll be diving into. So this is very exciting. Now, the next part is the hot wash. And while we do the hot wash, now this is like anybody can share, and good luck to us, because you could all come off mute. If you want to put it in the chat instead, you can. But we're going to start what were the key takeaways? But while we're doing that, I'm going to launch the evaluation poll, which is,
You might need to put it in the chat for people.
yeah. So the one that started is 5 questions.
Yeah.
I thought it was 8 questions.
It was 8 questions, but 3 of them were small answer, and they don't come up unless they're multiple choice. There. Okay.
Okay. So while we're doing the hot wash, feel free to do this. And that, this is our attempt to have you, and obviously this wouldn't happen in a real disaster, but we do want to get feedback on the exercise. And so rather than sending you something later that only a third of you will answer because you don't have time, let's just go ahead and let you, and you're going to scroll down. So there's 5 questions and they're just all clicks. So go ahead and do that. And then who would like to start off the hot wash with what went well?
I think a diversity of people coming together.
Okay, that's a good one.
I think the self-introductions so that we became aware of what some other people are doing and who some of the other participants are. That was nice.
Yeah, and we do, I mean, in a real event, I guess it depends on how many people are in the room and how long you want to take on introductions. Our goal is that we all know each other when we come into that meeting, and that's what the community support network should be doing, so that maybe there are just some new people in the room, and then we could let them introduce themselves, and if we can get better at putting perhaps sharing the contact list, and putting our names on our pictures, that would be helpful too. Denise has her hand raised. Well, that's a good concept, isn't it?
Hi, Marcia. Thank you. And I do know a lot of the people in the room. I've been away a little bit from the volunteer realm, but I've been diving back in. So I'm overseeing our CERT program for Los Altos Hills County Fire District. Couple of my takeaways that I wrote down: great opportunity here. Great opportunities that I'm seeing to train and interface on a regional volunteer platform and level. So I am going to push that volunteer interface that you gave to sign up to the certs in our group. Again, getting networking portals available for activations and needs. So, where would that be the easiest to facilitate? Hey, what do you need? Do you need overhead like from, say, my staff, or would you need volunteers, say, from our CERT? So again, how we can fit in and how that can best be facilitated. In my group, I was in group 2. I'm going to go back and research on the cross training needed for CERT to staff shelters so that my people are ready to meet that goal. So maybe setting up what would be best. These are the things you need to have checklisted so that your volunteers are ready and prepared to fill those roles if they're asked. And one of those roles also that I'd like to see maybe a future presentation on is the sociological or psychological training that's needed for volunteers when you are dealing with at-risk populations, whether they're unhoused populations, senior populations, just what are those different immigrant populations, language barriers, just all of these different hurdles that would come up in the reality of this world because, unfortunately, it's people that live a lot of times on the edge that are the ones that are the most impacted in these events. So again, what kind of training, what are those things that we can prepare ahead of time, that we know will be failure or pinch points? So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. And we will go line by line, everything that you said, everyone else says. We will go line by line and make sure that we get everything addressed. And this is the eye-opening part. It's like we think that we have a good plan and we think that we have everybody at the table, and neither of those things are 100% true and can always improve. So we want to make sure that we do that. Sean has her hand raised.
Sorry, I had to stop petting the cat. Just so everyone knows, his name is Lecter. I noticed that there's a lot of CERT members here. I'm CERT too. I just wanted to raise the issue again. I think that we should have a CERT training class specifically for unhoused people because they will experience a whole different crisis than the rest of us. They may be out there crushed by trees. They may have their RV fall over or roll over. There's just a lot of different issues. But it also gives us a whole new army of folks out there that are ready and willing to help that we are generally just dismissing because they don't have a home. And I think
love that.
Thank you. I think that we should do this quarterly. So it is more like, oh, hey, Marcia, Denise, David, hey, what's up? How are the kids? And, just the newbies are like, oh, hi, it's me. I'm new. I think that would be awesome. And the more trained that we are and the more cohesive we are, the more it's going to benefit folks.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And not a lot of training quickly with, disasters, but, you learn quick.
Yeah, no, you do. And the more that we just experience this, this is a great learning experience and just you're going to recognize more faces now. Just touching on what you said about meeting quarterly. So each of these networks meets quarterly. If any of you want a specific topic brought up, if it's something that really needs like to be planned, we will offer all the networks to say who wants to be involved in this discussion, and that'll be a separate meeting, just planning for that. So that would be a short term, let's get this done and then go back. The quarterly support network meetings are about being connected and raising issues that maybe we haven't thought about yet so that we can try to get answers. So yeah, this is all good. Let's jump to the weaknesses because really we're looking for what we need to improve. So, and
an
David,
idea.
Go ahead, David.
Early on, we did some sort of situation status reports for the drill, saying from certain different agency groups, this is what's going on, this is what we have. But I'm a very visual person, and what would have been very helpful, and we might consider trying to develop, is for each organization to have a map of their jurisdiction and maybe some little highlights on it. If it's an organization that has facilities, then be able to show on the map saying, these are the facilities we're talking about, and move the cursor around and say here and here. Or if it's talking about waterways, having a map of the county and saying, being able to point with the cursor saying, here at this point on Coyote Creek is where a problem is occurring, or over here, this dam or something. So
I'll tell you
visual aid.
that we yeah, so it wasn't quite ready for prime time today, but we have a ArcGIS map. We are mapping all of the participants in the community support networks and the VOAD, so that you could look at an impacted area and see what's around it and who's around it that might need help. Not like first responder help, but maybe they're not able to perform their duties at the moment, and we might need to fill in for them. So that just wasn't ready today, but we will have that for the future. You'll see it unveiled in the community support networks.
Would
And it
that
does
be used maybe in the next drill to exercise that when people are doing their situation rep, that they be able to pull it up on the screen and refer to it?
Yes. Yeah. We're trying to see if we can't get it in a public place where anybody can access it. But we're working on that. Let's see, Julia.
Well, I just wanted to add because one of my concerns with our church is, as I said, because we deal with a few mentally challenged people as well as some seniors. So my concern is if we have to evacuate because we're in a rural area, about road closures and coordinating, trying to get them to safety. So as I said, our church is on a hill, so we would be all right for, a while, but it wouldn't, I don't know if we could do it for days. So one of my key things is communication is key, but to figure out how to coordinate to try to get people to safety if you're in a rural area.
Okay. And that's definitely something that we can address. Bob, good one.
Yeah, about the website. I hope that I'm the only one who had trouble getting to the announcements section. And that would be good news. But looking there for announcements, I would expect it to be along the menu bar across the top. That was the first place I was looking, and no announcements there. I looked around the web page for a while. Someone agrees with me. Maybe I'm not the only dumb one. Okay. Looked at the very bottom, nothing there.
No, feedback is wonderful.
Okay.
We have talked about banner.
Yes, and I tried the search magnifying glass window for announcements. It did not take me there. And now time's running out for the meeting to start, and I'm looking everywhere on that website except that box over there on the right. I missed it. And so I ended up just re-registering to get into the meeting and got to the meeting 2 minutes late. So if there's some now that I've seen that box, I'll never forget it again. Okay, that's the value of a drill. But the first time for the next person.
Bob.
Okay, so just wanted to put that out, and thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Katie.
Pretty
And
simple.
something that came to mind for me during this meeting, I'm a little concerned that with most of the conversation happening within the community support network, so we might end up siloing information about what's going on and what resources are available. I'm thinking specifically about, because I work with faith-based organizations, that churches tend to be gathering places, and we might have a gathering of people who don't want to go to a shelter. We might need food resources or donations. And so while popping into another breakout room is an option, I'm just wondering if there's opportunity for a more streamlined communication system where we can put out a message to the VOAD as a whole and say, hey, this faith-based center is looking for this resource.
Yes, actually, and in the next series of support network meetings, we're going to do an introduction to a software that we have called Recovers that will streamline that. I need this, I have this. But also because all of the networks are facilitated by one of the CADRE staff, and we meet and talk about what we learned in each group, and then we cross-pollinate anything that the other groups need to know. So again, we've only had one meeting, but we will do that. And you're all welcome to join each other's meetings. It's just more meetings, but they are recorded and posted. So we can also share the recordings for anybody that wants to get caught up on something that happened in a different group. Val.
So there was a lot of talk about helping unhoused folks, which is great. But there's also going to be families with neurodiverse kids or seniors with vents and CPAP machines. And that really wasn't discussed at all that I heard in this chat. I know I brought up the whole animal thing because that's kind of what I do as well. But there's going to be, kids with autism, adults with autism, Down syndrome who are not going to understand. So there has to be a level of training and understanding because they are a different kind of psychological, sociological group than, say, the unhoused.
Absolutely.
So just want to make sure that that's thrown out there.
No, so that's part of what the support networks will do is we want to create guidance that can be shared with people that are supporting shelters, but just everyone to create a greater appreciation of what's the people that we serve, and having us be able to appreciate more what each organization does, but also what each individual, the specific needs, so that we can plan for them and address as many as possible. I don't see any more hands raised. And so Darlene.
I think it would be cool to do a live in-person simulation, kind of like how the poverty simulation, I'm sure many of you guys participated in that at one point in your lives. So that you're going like, what would I do? Like, and then at the beginning of the simulation, you say, this is the disaster. Nobody knows what disaster it's going to be. You're going to announce this is a disaster to happen. Go. That's it. Like, who are you contacting, which direction you're going, and then have the different agencies or whatever represented there.
I've got a couple of quick ones, Marcia. One is the unhoused. Who survives continually somehow, some way, are unhoused? We have some learning from them, not just teaching them.
I agree.
Definitely supporting me. The other thing is we have multiple communications in different organizations that aren't really tied together between city, county, the other 7 municipalities out in the rural areas. That needs to come together a lot better than what I'm seeing. Complete.
Yep, and that's why we're bringing these specialty groups together, so that they can just focus specifically on that, and let's try to improve it. And back to Darlene, yes, I'm more than happy to do in-person meetings. It just means that people have to travel. In a disaster, that might not be possible, but we can definitely do a real drill that's not about testing Zoom. We can definitely do like
right, it's real, it's a simulation drill, not a real disaster, obviously.
Yeah. But we could do a 2-hour Zoom or a 3-hour Zoom, where people come in and out and work issues. So yeah, and in person, it's just if it's an isolated area, like if we were just doing the drill for a certain part of the county, that might be better. But we just want to make sure that we get everybody, as many people as possible, listening and supporting. But in a real event, it might have to be in person because Zoom, the internet may be down, and we may have to convene in-person meetings that would also be posted in that announcement section and the new banner that we're going to put on our website. Denise.
You can say if it's not appropriate, but could you just give us a status update, Marcia, on CADRE, how it reflects inside the county and how we can help support your organization in general, if that's appropriate at this time?
Okay, so yeah, so we're the Office of Emergency Management for the county had proposed has changed their emergency plan to not include CADRE as the lead coordinating organization. None of the cities have done that, and it's the desire of the cities to continue to have CADRE be the VOAD. And so we will continue to try to coordinate and collaborate with the Office of Emergency Management for the county to see if we can all be on the same page. And if not, then we will coordinate during the disaster with what they have and what they need and what we're doing to support the rest of the county. But CADRE is the VOAD.
Yes, can I just say something really quick? Several members of my group actually talked a little bit about, gosh, how do we even, start coordinating and that sort of stuff. And I just want you to look at the screen right now. There is a duty officer phone number there, 408-622-0822. That is our 24-hour duty officer number for CADRE. So if you found yourself in the situations that we talked about in our breakout room, that is the number to call. If you need CADRE, that is how you get us in a disaster situation. We will probably already be on calls with the county and doing other coordination stuff, but that is our duty officer number.
And where is that number on the website?
I don't know off the top of my head, Bob.
Okay.
That's a real good question.
Up front again.
Every single one of the network web pages has it. If you click the tab that says active disaster at the top of any of the network pages, you'll see it there. It should be on our contact us page too, but we will do a double check and make sure that it is so visible that you will not miss it.
It is also at the bottom of the page with the contact us information with our email and our duty officer email and our address, and both of these phone numbers are there as well.
And I know that you all have a ton of information that's fresh in your mind right now that we could stay here all day. I wish we could. I wish we didn't have all the other conflicting things that we need to do. But if you want to just do a brain dump, send it to admin@cadresv.org and we will include it, everything. And it's going to take us a few days, a week to compile everything. But it will be compiled, that will be shared out to all of you, and hopefully we'll see you on some of the next community support network or VOAD calls. The difference between community support network and a VOAD is the VOAD they have a disaster mission. They've identified that they have a role that they're expecting to fill in a disaster. And so, we're counting on them. And we meet together to plan that way. But the rest of the community support network, we know you have resources. And at the time of the event, if you can do something, we will count on you then. And if you have ideas on what you might be able to do to support, let's talk about that now to make sure that there wouldn't be any obstacles when the time actually came. Does anyone have any parting comments?
Yes,
I can't wait to
do.
read what you said. Go ahead, Cindy.
If you are interested in volunteering with CADRE, I just put the link in the chat for you to register to volunteer with CADRE. I know some of you have extra time or a big interest in some of the things that we're working on. And we're also looking to engage 1,000 volunteers with CADRE this year. So if you're interested in doing that, please go to the link that says volunteer with CADRE. It's also on our website. There's a little spot that says volunteer. You can click there. And we welcome all.
Could those that are volunteer right now, because we need to capture your hours for this event, could you just raise your hand? Is that possible? Or the electronic hand, because I can't see everybody. In fact, I sure wish
I think Sean
sure
has
wish I
raised, but not for that.
Okay. Michael?
I do, but I'm just waiting I was waiting for the raising hands thing.
Okay.
I just, can we create a kerfuffle to have the EOC, is it EOC, support you because it's important? I mean, it just seems like, those days where people stack public comment or whatever it is. I mean, there was 101 of us on this. That's nothing, that's not nothing. So what about writing, packing public comment, etc.?
Great ideas.
Yeah, they're good ideas. And as we identify gaps, and that need support or need funding, I think it would be very good for us to come together and say, this is the team of people that meets regularly, that are the subject matter experts in this area, and this is their recommendation. And then we can all support that to make more things happen. Because it's grassroots. This is how we change things.
And that we're coming together for emergencies, like
yeah,
what bunch of idiots gets together and it's like, sure, I want to be there in an emergency and be counted on. Like, I mean, it should be, really taken into account.
Yes. So I'm going to officially end this because we've gone over, and I love the passion, but we will stay on. But anybody that needs to leave, don't feel bad about leaving. But I see hands raised, and I'm going to keep the recording going, and I'll keep capturing whatever you want to share.